Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Berardelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Berardelli, flying solo once again. Russ Gallo, my usual co-host, is still with his National Guard unit serving us and drilling upstate New York here in the People's Republic of New York State. And, of course, we wish him all the best. He's going to miss a heck of a show, folks. We're going to be talking about the Philadelphia experiment. Yes, we're talking about that debacle going on with the DNC happening this week. My, oh my, where are we going to begin on that? We're going to get into it as much as we can, and wow, is all I have to say about that. We're also going to be talking to Bob Dorigo Jones, friend of the show. He comes on frequently, a few times a year, to discuss his Wacky Warning Labels contest that he does annually on Stossel, on Fox News Channel. And we're going to be talking about it in the context of what in the world has happened to the word reasonable, and how this contest is a symptom of the overall systemic failure of government turning more and more into a nanny state. But first and foremost, as I see all of our friends gathering up in the chat room, we got a chat room going live here on the show when we broadcast Tuesdays at 10 p.m. on Spreaker, whenever we get to 10 p.m., that is. You can check it out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Click on the Listen Live button, and you can check everybody out in the chat room and say, as one person has said, hi, diddly-o. And, well, there you go. I don't know how people are going to be in the chat room tonight between listening to the Philadelphia experiment, the debacle in the city of brotherly love. I'm so wound up, I can't even talk about it. But where do you begin, folks? I mean, as we're broadcasting this now, we're early in the week. So when you're listening to this later on any one of our rebroadcast outlets or on demand this week through any one of our podcasting affiliates, you're going to be hearing me rant and rave a lot about the first half of this convention because, man, oh man, oh man, you want to talk about conventions gone awry. You want to talk about conventions not going smoothly. You want to talk about, things not going according to plan. No, I'm not talking about the RNC. Although some would say the RNC had its own share of problems, which you could come to expect from a non-politician running a convention. But these professional politicians who make their living off of your backs, yours and my backs, career politicians who all they know is public service and government and throwing these types of affairs, where do you begin? I'll tell you what, let's begin at the beginning. And no, I'm not talking about the DNC leak, because we'll get to that a little later. But let's start right at the beginning. And this couldn't work out any better for our show. For those of you listening to us for the first few times, you may not know us too well. We like to do a Buffoon of the Year contest every year, where we pick up the biggest dunderheads, idiots, buffoons in politics for that year. And we line them up tournament style in a bracket, and you, the fans, vote for who that number one buffoon is. And last year, it was Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake. Well, who gavels in the convention? Well, nobody really. Stephanie Rawlings Blake, our buffoon of the year, reigning and defending, forgot to gavel in the convention. And if you go to Twitter and watch the video of her running back on stage, grabbing the gavel, holding it up, and then slamming it into session, oh my goodness. What a way to start the circus, folks, with a buffoon. It goes on from there. I mean, listen, the lack of self-awareness is one of the biggest things in politics that we all need to answer to sooner or later. Listen, we all have our moments where we forget to say the right thing. You hear me blithering and stuttering during every show. So it's kind of easy for me to point fingers here. I'm the ultimate hypocrite on this, I guess, right? But when you are the party that thinks that voter ID laws are racially motivated, and then you require your own delegates to show ID so that they can be eligible to vote at your convention, that is a shocking lack of self-awareness. How many times have we heard that these laws they have no purpose, they're only meant to keep minority voters from the polls and poorer individuals who can't afford the overburdensome cost of an ID? The same people who say that, those same limousine liberals, are requiring ID to check in to get into their convention so that the vote is proper and above board. And I can't even believe I'm saying this with a straight face, because we all know that the whole system was rigged on the DNC, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. Next, we want to talk about lack of self-awareness. The first night of the DNC in Philly, there was something that was painfully missing. It was noticeably absent. It was brought up on social media all day. Where was the American flag on the first day of the launching of the Democratic National Convention? After all, they're looking to nominate their choice to run the United States government. Again, astonishing lack of self-awareness. These are supposed to be professional politicians. And these are the same people that were poking fun at the RNC in Cleveland. These are the same people with Debbie Wasserman Schultz pointing out, hey, Ryan Priebus, RNC chair, if you need a little extra help running a convention, I'm here for you. Come on, these are the same people who wanted to show us up and us being conservatives and Republicans? Oh my goodness. We got a great comment in our chat room saying that they're listening to the show while eating his taco bowl. A reference to something we'll be talking about later on in the segment. Great stuff from Dano, one of our resident chat mavens, bringing up some stuff we'll be talking about later on. The lack of self-awareness here is so astonishing. This is the party, this is the group, this is the organization that tells you that building a wall on your southern border is racist. It is stopping the dreamers from coming across and making a better life for themselves in America and all these great things and kumbaya and all that. And yet they have an 8-foot-tall fence 5 miles around their venue in Philadelphia. And on the first night of the convention, they even had a mini wall separating the delegates, the little people, from the dais and from the stage. A shocking lack of self-awareness on the first night of the DNC. I can't even fathom what was going through the head of Hillary Clinton at her convention with all this going on and drawing the focus from the stage. And not only that, the pressure's on, folks. Donald Trump has seen his convention bump, and he's leading a lot of polls right now coming out of his convention. Another comment from Dano in our chat room. Can we dig a moat around the DNC and just keep them there? Well, I'm not so sure the people of Philadelphia, where we used to broadcast, by the way, on WNJC, shout out to them, I'm not so sure that they would like it so much, although you never know, there are a bunch of liberal whack jobs there too. Could be possible. We'll look into it during the show. But now, folks, the main event of the evening for the opening of the DNC happened before the DNC, and that was the WikiLeaks disclosure, let's call it, the leaking of thousands of emails from the DNC to and from the DMC showing behind the curtain, folks. It was a Wizard of Oz moment. You finally got to see what was behind the curtain, and before Debbie Wasserman Schultz can say, pay no attention to that lady behind the curtain, she was out of a job. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer person, let me tell you me. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, apparently, one thing we found out from the leaks is that she's a fan of Hamilton. So that puts it pretty much with everybody else on Broadway and everything. And before the Philadelphia experiment even happened, she was put on the defensive by the leaking of these emails showing not only, let's call it unethical coordination between the mainstream media and the DNC, but definitely questionable coordination between the DNC and the Clinton campaign. When your own party is running against you, and I'm talking about Bernie Sanders right now, that really is not only an indictment of how scared they are of you and your movement. And let's face it, America's scared of Bernie Sanders and his movement. So I can understand the DNC being scared of it. But to actively work against someone who's eligible to run for the head of your party, the top of your ticket, and to work against them like that, man, that's just low. Say what you want about the RNC process. You could say that it was a circus and 17 candidates and too many debates and it became, the proverbial name-calling contest and it got down in the gutter and all that. Say what you want about it. You ended up with someone that the establishment, quote-unquote, did not want. To me, it's an indication that the process was led by voters. Say what you want about voters, and believe me, I've heard it all this week, and we're going to get into that in a second as well. But the process on the RNC side, from the outside looking in, appears above board, appeared to be voter-driven. The people is what mattered, and Republicans, no matter on what side you're on it, are either reveling in it or they have to live with it. On the DNC side, it's so much worse and insidious. What you're seeing is that there was not only active engagement against a campaign, but there was also a shocking opinion of blocks of voters. I mean, can we just talk for a second about quote-unquote Taco Bell engagement? Can we talk for a second about looking at Latinos as a brand and their brand loyalty and not thinking of them as constituents that you need to address their issues? They're a product to the DNC. They're numbers in a ledger to the DNC. They're vote tallies for the DNC because they know they got them. They know that there are a lot of inner city votes and urban votes there that will shore up New York and California and other places. It's not even pandering, because pandering, at least you give lip service to the issues. It's the idea of, if you hook them for life. And let's think of ways to hook the Taco Bell people. Come on! How is this not the biggest news story dominating the cycle for more than one day? I'll tell you why not. Because this convention is being run by nincompoops and boobs. And not even the good kind. Yeah, we got a little blue there and I don't care. Back to the convention. Yes, we talked about the rigged system that actively worked against Sanders. Can we talk about for a second, and I don't want to get emotional, but can we talk about the Bernie Sanders people and their emotion and their passion for their candidate? Oh man, I'm a political wonk. I love politics. There is no way I am going to cry for a candidate. Now listen, it speaks for the passion of the Bernie Sanders campaign, the constituency, and the work that they're doing. If they're true believers, God bless them. They're wrong as can be, but God bless their passion. That's what politics should be about. Passionate people fighting for what they believe in. I think it's great. I think they're misguided. I disagree with them on just about every issue. But I admire the passion. The same passion that Hillary Clinton tried to inspire and couldn't do. The same passion that Jeb Bush tried to inspire and couldn't do. The same passion that